How can anyone say it's all good in Seattle when nobody's paying attention to what's brewing behind the scenes? I'm Ethan Carter, and what I've got for you today is going to stir up some memories for you longtime fans. John Schneider just got a new deal through 2031, but are we supposed to celebrate that, or is it a sign of dangerous complacency? We've got a fifth-round rookie who's absolutely schooling veterans in training camp. A brand new signing got cut before he could even get his helmet warm, and two young tight ends are completely changing Clint Kubiak's offensive game plan. Is something big on the horizon, or is this whole thing about to fall apart? All right, my fellow 12s, before we really dive into all the latest news with our team this Thursday, I gotta ask you for a quick favor. If you've been following the Seahawks Insider Report, if you dig our analysis but you haven't subscribed yet, please do me a solid and smash that subscribe button. It's a huge deal for the channel, and it's how we keep this community of diehard Seahawks fans growing. Seriously, thanks so much for the support. They're calling it stability, but isn't that just a fancy word for getting too comfortable? John Schneider's extension through 2031, man, it dropped like a quiet bomb, and so many people were cheering, right? Clapping on their feet, not even realizing what a massive gamble this really is. That's 6 more years of the same guy who took us from the top of the mountain to, what? The middle of the pack? Purgatory? Just competitive mediocrity. Look, I'm not saying the guy's a total failure. Not at all. John Schneider is one of the most respected GMs in the entire league, and his history with the Seahawks is legendary. We can't deny that. Since 2010, he built the DNA of a franchise that was feared for a decade. He created the Legion of Boom. He believed in Russell Wilson when nobody else did. He made some crazy-looking draft picks that paid off. He built a legacy, but a legacy doesn't win you games tomorrow. The last time we were actually contenders was, 2019, 2020, and even then we came up short when it mattered. Ever since then, it's just been flashes in the pan, promises, rebuilds that never seem to actually finish. Now, with Mike Macdonald as the head coach, the whole project has a new feel. And by locking up Schneider till 2031, ownership sent a crystal clear message. This is the guy. This is the plan. We're not backing down. But the question you gotta ask is, what if it doesn't work? Again, aren't we just falling into the same pattern of the last few years, where the talk sounds good, the plan looks solid on paper, but the results just aren't there when the lights are brightest? I give Schneider credit. He's not afraid to take big swings, whether it's drafting a corner in the top 5 or trading away key players on the roster. And bringing in Macdonald, at least right now, looks like a home run. But as a fan who saw the absolute peak of this franchise, who lived through the golden years with the most feared defense in the NFL, you just can't help but be a little skeptical about this deal. Are we signing up for another 6 years of being in a rebuild? Or did Schneider finally nail the balance between youth, aggression, and a solid foundation? If there's one thing that gets me, it's the absolute confidence the front office has in this duo. Jody Allen's statement was basically a public vow of faith, saying the marriage between Macdonald and Schneider is already building a winning culture. Okay, cool. But where are the results? Talk is cheap, the field doesn't lie, and the craziest part, by re-signing Schneider now before seeing any real fruit from the 2024 and 2025 seasons, management is showing they're going all in. There is no plan B. And that, my friend, either becomes the rebirth of that Pacific Northwest pride, or it's another decade of being almost good enough. And speaking of bold bets, you are not going to believe what a 5th-round rookie is doing in training camp. I'm serious. He's running through veterans like it's Madden on rookie mode. Remember the last time a rookie showed up to training camp and, in less than a week, had old-school fans scratching their heads thinking there's something different about this kid? Well, Torrey Horton is doing exactly that, and I'm not exaggerating. This 5th-round pick, straight from the back end of the 2025 draft class, is just tearing up the wide receiver depth chart in Seattle like he never even got the memo. He wasn't supposed to be fighting for a top spot. He wasn't supposed to be stealing snaps from vets. But it's happening, and it's happening fast. The offseason was already a bombshell with the departure of DK Metcalf and the legendary Tyler Lockett, Two guys who defined an era for us. Jackson Smith and Jigba rightfully inherited the WR1 throne. Cooper Kupp came in to be that new security blanket. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, the speedy but inconsistent vet, was penciled in as the WR3. But then, on one of those days the fans don't always see, number 16 runs a route, burns the corner, extends his arms, and makes the grab. Again and again. And it wasn't just against anybody. Horton beat Nehemiah Pritchett cleanly. Okay, a backup. But then, he left Rick Woolen in the dust with a crisp route over the middle. That's not a coincidence anymore. Rick might not be the world's best tackler, but the man is a monster in coverage. And Horton got past him. With speed, with confidence, with precision. What's most impressive about this rookie isn't just the raw talent, it's how much he improves from one practice to the next. He's the kind of player that feels like he's hitting save on his career mode after every single drill. The quarterbacks are already starting to look his way more often, and the coaching staff knows what that means. Yeah, it's still too early to say if he'll start as the WR3. MVS will probably get the first nod because he's the vet. But if Horton keeps this up, it's only a matter of time before he takes that spot. And then, my friend, we could be looking at a new cornerstone for the Seahawks offense. And the craziest part is thinking he only fell to the 5th round because of that late career college injury. His body has obviously healed. And his mind, man, it looks like it came fully loaded. And if that wasn't enough to shake up camp, what happened on defense in less than 48 hours has everyone raising an eyebrow. A guy we signed with some real hype was dropped like dead weight. So what really happened behind the scenes? 2 days, that's right, 2. That's how long Thor Griffith lasted as a Seattle Seahawk. It sounds like a punchline, right? A name like Thor, a beast of a man, a resume with legit numbers, and the guy gets tossed aside like he was a typo on the roster. What happened there? Because this wasn't just some random roster move. It was a clear message that on this new Seahawks team, nobody's job is safe. Griffith was announced with some real excitement on July 29th. A 6'2", 300-plus pound monster out of Harvard and Louisville, who put up 42 reps on the bench at his pro day and had run-stop and pass-rush win rates that put him in the same statistical ballpark as guys like Quinnen Williams and Jalen Carter. One of those guys that makes you, the fan, think, man, if this kid pans out, we've got a real hidden gem here. But he didn't even get time to pan out. By the 31st, he was gone. And the reason? To make room for a cornerback named Keydrain Callaghan, another undrafted free agent, also from a smaller school background, but with one trait that seems to carry a ton of weight in this new defensive philosophy: explosion. Callaghan ran a 4.42 40-yard dash, showed he can play both safety and corner, and has that chip on his shoulder attitude of a guy who's desperate to prove himself. The impression you get is that McDonald and Schneider are prioritizing aggression and an immediate fit. If you don't make an impact or fit the scheme right out of the gate, you're out. Deep down, this move reveals a ruthless mentality. There's no more time to adjust or, let's see how he develops in camp. If you don't show your value now, you're done. This could be good, it could be bad. For the old-school fan who saw guys like Cam Chancellor, KJ Wright, or Michael Bennett develop over time, this whole now-or-never approach might feel off. But maybe this is exactly what the new Seahawks need: a reality check, a clean break from the recent past of promises that didn't deliver. The big question now is, will Callaghan actually give us more than Griffith would have? Or are we going to look back in October and realize we traded raw power for a flash in the pan? One thing's for sure, this decision shows the front office is willing to make tough, fast calls, and whether you like it or not, that's the sign of a strong command. But speaking of bold decisions, there are two young tight ends who are becoming key cogs in the offense and completely changing the look of the game plan. The revolution nobody saw coming might be happening right over the middle of the field. When was the last time you heard anyone say the Seahawks offense is going to run through the tight ends? Yeah, in 2025, that sentence might actually be true. Forget that token usage, those check-down routes you only see when the wide receivers are blanketed. The new duo of A.J. Barner and Elijah Arroyo is changing the entire offensive mindset in Seattle. And the most surprising part? It's working. last season already hinted at it. Barner, even with fewer targets than Noah Fant, was more efficient, hauling in 30 catches on 38 targets for 4 touchdowns, compared to just 1 from Fant. And now, with Arroyo coming in from the draft and Fant gone for good, the fight for the spotlight has turned into a complimentary and explosive 1-2 punch. Sam Darnold, who doesn't have the luxury of a Justin Jefferson like he had in Minnesota, needs reliable targets, especially over the middle, and that's where this new machine comes into play. Barner, with his more traditional inline style, a good blocker who can slip out on short routes, becomes that security blanket on third down. Arroyo, on the other hand, is straight-up dynamite. He runs well, can line up in the slot, stretch the field, and create total mismatches against slower linebackers and less physical safeties. And this isn't just theory. The practices are making it clear that Clint Kubiak, our new OC from the Saints, is building a system that's going to feature this duo. Last year, the Saints tight end saw 144 targets. We might not hit that number, but there's already talk of something between 60 and 70 targets for each of our guys. And if that happens, watch out. Because opposing defenses will have to spread themselves thin in coverage, which in turn opens up windows for JSN, Cooper Kupp, and even Torrey Horton himself if he gets into the offensive rotation. Kubiak's new tactic is all about creating mismatches. In practice, Barner and Arroyo are being used in formations together, forcing defenses to pick their poison. Who are you going to cover? And that's where Darnold, even if he's not a superstar, can really shine, because he's good at reading those kinds of looks. What's happening is subtle, but it could be a game changer. For the first time since, Zach Miller? The Seahawks seem to be seriously investing in their tight ends as actual weapons, not just afterthoughts. And that changes everything, especially for a team that lost depth at wide receiver and is still looking for consistency in the run game. But the question remains, can this offense, with so many new pieces and a different playbook, actually execute when the pressure is on? Because having talent is one thing, but executing under pressure, that's a whole different story. And since we're talking about pressure, after everything we've seen today, what does it all mean for the team's immediate future? Everything feels new, but is it just the same old hope in a brand new uniform? Schneider's extension through 2031, Horton's early flashes, Griffith's blink and you missed it career, and the double down on the tight ends. It all points to a Seahawks team that wants to change, but wanting it isn't enough. We're missing consistency. We're missing results on the field. We're at a crossroads. Either all this boldness puts us back on top, or we become that team that's just stuck in a permanent state of rebuilding. So I'm asking you, the longtime fans, the heart of the Pacific Northwest pride, are you seeing real progress here, or is this just another pretty-looking cycle that's gonna die out in December? Drop a comment below. Are you buying into this project?